It looks like Kotaku is hearing some rumors that Gearbox might finally be getting purchased out from underneath Embracer. Embracer has been shopping Gearbox. And if you're not familiar with Gearbox, they're most notably renowned for their Borderlands games, right? As it's probably pretty easy to tell from that image right there. But Borderlands Studio will escape the most divisive company in gaming. Embracer bought Borderlands maker Gearbox for $1.3 billion back in early 2021 amid an unprecedented acquisition spree that's since turned into a financial disaster. Now, just 3 years later, Kotaku has learned that Gearbox is closer than ever to being sold out from underneath what is arguably the most hated company in gaming. Yeah. So, again, if anybody is not familiar with what has gone down with Embracer to this point, yeah, back around the pandemic time frame, Embracer just turned into this crazy juggernaut of consuming any studio they could. Bought up the rights to the Lord of the Rings. I mean, you name it. They could not stop. It was a gluttonous dive into consuming anything they could. And last year we saw where apparently they were supposed to have a deal laid out with Savvy Games Group. And for those who are not familiar with Savvy Games Group, that's just a business front for the Saudi Arabian government. The Saudi Arabian regime, as it were, and their efforts to invest in the video gaming industry. That is Savvy Games Group. And apparently, Embracer had this $2 billion deal lined up with them, which fell through. Upon it falling through, apparently Embracer had all of their eggs in that basket. And upon it falling through, they have started crushing everything underneath them, firing mass numbers of employees on the constant, shuttering many subsidiaries that they had bought and purchased over the past number of years. It's been a really gross look. It's been one of the most disgusting things to watch amid a very dark time of the past year and a half, for sure. And Embracer really is like at the top of all of it to be noted, for sure. There are a lot of other big companies that have been doing the same thing. Don't get me wrong, Epic, Microsoft. There's Sony's up there. Basically nobody has been left out of this situation of just firing all their employees and acting like, it's acting like the industry's dying or something whenever it's still very lucrative. It's a weird look, but Embracer's been one of, if not the worst. And so, basically, that we knew that they had been shopping around Gearbox for roughly the past half year, but it didn't. The way it kind of had come off was that they were probably asking too much for Gearbox. Either they were asking too much outright, or a lot of companies knew that they were in a bad spot and needed to sell and were trying to lowball. It's probably a combination of both. The other thing we do know is that Embracer is now in negotiations to sell off Saber, right? Which is one of their other subsidiaries. And along with Saber, they are giving Saber the rights to the Knights of the Old Republic remake. That's all getting sold for roughly $500 million US. So after this incredibly wild year to 2 year spree of buying up anything they could, now Embracer is trying to survive by selling everything they can. It's really weird. Bad business, dude. But 2 days ago, the Saber news broke. Now, apparently, maybe somebody is finally taking Gearbox out from underneath Embracer as well. I think that anybody, any company that is lucky enough to get out from underneath Embracer's collapse right now is got to feel like they're going to be able to take a breath of fresh air to an extent. Now, who they get bought by and what that means for them in the future isn't necessarily going to mean they're free and clear, but getting out from underneath Embracer right now has got to feel good. Gearbox is leaving the Embracer fallout behind as devs wait for an answer on what's next. Embracer bought Borderlands maker Gearbox for $1.3 billion back in early 2021 amid an unprecedented acquisition spree, since turned out to be a financial disaster. 3 years later, Kotaku has learned that Gearbox is closer than ever to being sold out from underneath what is arguably the most hated company in gaming. Yeah. Gearbox CEO and co-founder Randy Pitchford held a town hall with staff earlier this week in which he told employees a decision had been made regarding the studio's future, with more information to be shared next month. According to two sources familiar with the meeting, for months now, Pitchford has told developers at Gearbox that there were 3 possible scenarios: stay with Embracer, sell to someone else, or finance a buyout and go back to being independently run. That would be the best option, number 3 there. Kotaku understands the decision was made to sell, and a deal is in the late stages of being finalized. Embracer did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Pitchford sent Kotaku the following statement: "I'm delighted that what we might be up to is interesting enough to people that you want to make a story about us for your readers. Honored and humbled that our company is a topic of rumor, speculation, and discussion. As always, we will be thrilled to share whatever we have, projects to announce or news to share as we work hard towards our mission to entertain the world." Yeah, all of this is stuff I already talked about. Even in the current hellscape of the gaming industry, Embracer is viewed as one of the more pernicious parasites. Yeah, grew fat on low-interest financing and a post-pandemic market frenzy that allowed it to snatch up big-name studios and IPs, only to leave them all without a safety net when the big risky bets didn't magically metastasize into a business plan. Yep. Terrible. And this is what I was talking about before as well. Bloomberg reported that Saber Interactive, currently in charge of the remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, will be sold out from underneath Embracer to some private investors for $500 million as well. So we will be looking for more information on the front of this Saber situation, because we don't have a lot of information about that yet, as well as what's happening here with Gearbox. Okay, so we'll keep trying to pay attention and see what we get.